Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Real. It's Slayer Sunday, where I will be talking about and reviewing all the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in order. Today, I'm looking at Season 1, Episode 10, Nightmares. We start the episode with Buffy sneaking around the sewers, and with all those candles, it kind of looks like the Master's bachelor pad. Hey, it is! Buffy gets scared and the Master attacks her, but it's a dream fake-out. Joyce wakes her up and we learn a little bit about Buffy's father, who has been divorced from Joyce for a year, but separated for longer. And while Buffy doesn't know the exact reason, she assumes that she's partially responsible. Her dad is coming to town to take her out to dinner that weekend, but first she's got to go to class. The teacher is all blah blah blah, so Buffy gets bored and notices a young boy standing in the doorway. No time to investigate though, because this dude Wendell starts yelling when frickin' tarantulas come spilling out of his textbook. Burn the school to the ground immediately. Holy shit, actor Justin Urich legit has spiders crawling all over him. He has got some major cojones. The mystery boy apologizes and into the credits we go. The Master is talking to Colin about fear and notes that something is going on up on the surface. The following day, Buffy is stressing out that her dad won't show up for dinner, but Joyce, being the sweetheart she is, reassures her. I've got to say, I like Joyce. She's a well-written and believable character, showing love for her daughter while also highlighting the struggles of being a working single parent. Willow is freaking out about the spiders.
What do they need all those legs for anyway?
And they head to the library, where Giles is jumpy and says he got lost in the stacks. You alright there, G-Man? This library isn't that big. He suggests they go talk to Wendell, who is outside, still kinda shell-shocked. He gets annoyed when Xander calls the book spiders insects because he actually loves arachnids. They just don't love him.
What an odd thing to say.
Cordelia passes by while they're talking and tells Buffy about the history test that she should be at right now. Buffy wasn't aware of it and runs off in a panic, leaving Willow and Xander to continue the line of questioning. Wendell explains that he had a large collection of spiders, and when he went to camp for a week, his brother didn't look after them properly and they died. Since then, Wendell has had a recurring nightmare about spiders crawling out of his textbook. Only yesterday, he realised he wasn't asleep when everyone else started screaming too. Buffy goes to the test, but she has no idea of the answers and the clock keeps jumping forward. She doesn't even get to write her name before class is suddenly over and the mystery boy is back. The boy watches a girl named Laura go into the basement for a smoke break, but she's not alone down there. Maskless Jason Voorhees says Lucky 19 and then beats the shit into her. Buffy and Giles visit Laura in the hospital and she tells them that her attacker said something weird, Lucky 19, before he attacked her. The doctor tells them that Laura got off easier than the previous victim, a young boy who was still in a coma. Still in school, Willow and Xander speculate as to what's going on and hey, there's a Nerf Herder poster in Willow's locker. That's the band that do the theme tune and it was Alison Hannigan who recommended them to Joss Whedon. Also, I'm curious as to who's in the photo here with Willow. It can't be Xander because Willow was nose height to him here and only shoulder height to the person in the photo. Wait, that kind of looks like the library. Is that Giles? Why does she have a photo of her and Giles in her locker? Although, this is Willow we're talking about, so I guess it tracks. Some loud woman rushes up to this pack of greasers and starts fussing one of them, and then Xander walks into class only to find himself in nothing but his underwear. We get the first look at Nicholas Brennan's body, which is in pretty good shape, but he was told by producers to stop working out so he wouldn't look too buff for his schlubby character. Speaking of buff, Buffy checks on Giles' progress in the library, but he's got a problem. He can't read. Buffy picks up the newspaper he throws down in frustration and sees the photo of the boy she's been seeing around school. The article says he was badly beaten after a baseball game last week and is currently in a coma in the hospital. Well, this is getting weird. She also notices that his shirt bears the number 19. But no time to investigate that plot thread because in walks Buffy's dad, who is Almonzo in Little House on the Prairie. He's here early and Buffy worries that something is wrong. Hank wants to talk to her privately and drops the truth bomb that the reason for the divorce was her. He goes on to say that Buffy is a self-centered embarrassment and he couldn't stand living with her. He cuts all ties with her and leaves her in tears. Dick move, Dad, but never fear, Billy the Kid is here. Willow and Xander take refuge in the library after the whole underwear fiasco, and Xander tells Giles that it's a total nightmare. Willow gets a Jonathan Creek-style revelation. Wendell had a nightmare about spiders and it came true. Xander dreamt that he was in his underwear in class and it happened. Giles had a nightmare about getting lost in the stacks and here we are. Giles theorizes that Billy the Comatose boy has crossed over from the nightmare world he's trapped in and brought it with him. Thanks, kid! Now everyone's nightmares are becoming reality, including Cordelia's, who of course has a nightmare about her own appearance. Buffy follows Billy to the gym? Basement? What is this room? Anyway, she talks to Billy, who can't remember what happened but knows he loves to play baseball. Buffy asks him about Lucky 19 and Billy tells her that was the nickname the Ugly Man gave to him who wants to kill him. Ugly Man? What Ugly Man? Oh, that Ugly Man! Billy runs off as Buffy tries to fight this mammoth man, but he's too strong for her and she makes a run for it too. Meanwhile, Giles, Willow and Xander split up to look for her, with Willow passing by Cordelia, who has been turned into a nerd before the hallway calls her name. She follows the voice down into the basement. Come on now, Willow, you're smarter than that. And she gets grabbed. Xander wanders into a section of the school that's under renovations and follows a trail of chocolate bars like he's on his way to the gingerbread house. Buffy and Billy get lost trying to get to the library, and Billy gets upset when he sees people playing baseball because he was the reason they lost the game last week. When the Ugly Man attacks again, Buffy and Billy escape through a hedge only to find themselves in a graveyard at night. Willow is shoved on stage by the man who grabbed her and is expected to sing opera in front of a big crowd with this guy, played by Scott Harlan, who is very good. Willow acts like me when I have to sing in public. Xander is munching his way down the hallway until he runs into another one of my nightmares, a psychotic clown wielding a BFK. He nopes out of there. Buffy and Billy come across an open grave and great! Who let the master out? The master grabs her and chucks her into the coffin, which is something Sarah Michelle Gellar did not enjoy filming one bit. The master finds it hilarious and buries her alive. Gee, thanks dude. Running from their nightmares, Willow, Xander and Giles end up back together in the path of Discount Pennywise, until Xander decides enough is enough, turns around and punches him out. Yeah, fair. Outside the school, the trio notices that there's a nighttime graveyard that can't have had planning permission, and Giles, upon seeing Buffy's grave, declares that they're now in his nightmare. As he mourns over her grave, Buffy carry-whites her way to the surface, only to discover that they're now in her nightmare, where she's a vampire. Giles pep talks her into keeping it together, but Buffy wants to hurry.
I'm getting hungry.
They run through the chaos and make it to Billy's bedside. Giles tries to wake Billy up, but his ghost says that won't work. The Ugly Man is on his way, and it's getting a bit Jumanji outside. With her newfound vampire strength, Buffy kicks the shit into the Ugly Man. Billy reaches out and unmasks him, which returns everything to normal. Billy wakes up and pulls a Wizard of Oz.
I had the strangest dream. You were in it, and you?
Before his coach rushes in, worried about his lucky 19. Wait a minute. The coach caught up with Billy after he supposedly lost them the game and beat him half to death, becoming the Ugly Man of his nightmare. Holy crap! Buffy the Vampire Slayer really went there. The coach is arrested and Buffy's dad shows up for real this time to take her to dinner. And that's it. Okay, so thoughts on this one. Like Puppet Show before it, Nightmare is pretty memorable for just how damn creepy it is. It gives us some insight into the characters and what they truly fear, while tackling the difficult subject of child abuse. What I didn't like about it is how Xander brushed off the seriousness of it by saying that, hey, that's what it's like in baseball. But other than that, they handled it well. Having Billy's perception of the coach turn him into an actual monster is a realistic interpretation of how children tend to give physical form to those things they can't understand or are afraid of. It has some really touching interactions between characters, with Buffy perhaps seeing some of herself in Billy, a child with the weight of the world put on their shoulders. It's a good episode for Giles too, as his relationship and protectiveness of Buffy grows further, and I find it a little rewarding that Xander is the only one to turn around and face his fears head on. There are no deaths in this episode, as the Ugly Man is still breathing when Billy unmasks him, and I'm also not going to count Buffy's transformation because it's only temporary and she wasn't really a vampire, because while she was in the hospital she stood in direct sunlight several times with no ill effects. So our running total remains at 16 human deaths, 2 transformations, 13 vampire deaths, 1 monster death and 2 demon deaths. So there you have it. That was Nightmares. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, share and subscribe. I'll speak to you soon, and don't let the vampires bite.